Whenever I meet new people, I'm always asked about my name, because my name is hardly the most Western name around. And when they find out that my family is from Iran, they normally have the same set of questions that they want to ask. Normally ones that come from a place of lack of knowledge or education. So today I want to address some common misconceptions that people have about Iranians, Iran, Persia, and try and get people to understand a little more about my culture, my heritage, and my ancestry. Oh, your family's from Iran, so do you speak Arabic? This is one of the most common questions asked by people who don't know much about Iran. In Iran, they actually speak Farsi. Now, they use the same alphabet as Arabic, but it's a completely different language. In the same sense that French and Portuguese use almost an identical alphabet, yet they are two completely separate languages. However, there are actually more differences between Arabic and Farsi than there are generally between French and Portuguese. Most European languages fall into the bracket of Romance or Latin. Arabic actually falls into the Afro-Asiatic language family, whereas Farsi falls into the Indo-European family. Now, Farsi was originally called Parsi, but after the Muslim conquest in Iran, because Arabic lacks the P phoneme, it was actually changed to Farsi. Now, in modern day English, Farsi is actually referred to as the language, whereas Parsi is more related to the Zoroastrians, generally in Southeast Asia. But in modern Western culture, a lot of people actually just call it Persian. And a lot of people enjoy this because it helps them to keep a national and cultural identity to Persia, which was once one of the greatest and biggest empires in the world. Now, according to the United States State Department, Iran is an active state sponsor of terrorism. Their actual words. No, Iranians are not terrorists. And I know that people defend this claim by saying, well, yeah, it's an Islamic country, it's very different. Now, let's just look at a few facts and figures, okay? Now, according to the Global Terrorism Database, more than 94% of deaths fronted by Islamic terrorism were actually attributed to Sunni jihadists of the Islamic State, and also the Al-Qaeda and many others. Now, what you need to know here is that the majority of Muslims in Iran are actually Shias. They're not Sunnis. Okay, so they are a completely different sect. It's much like saying that during the War of Ireland, where there was a huge political crisis and it was generally the Protestants against the Catholics. If the Protestants went and bombed all the Catholics, would you then blame the Catholics? No, you wouldn't. Now, what I have to question is how we blame Iran when they are a completely different sect from Sunni jihadists. Whilst we're talking about Iran, let's just cover the fact that since 1979, there have been 10 terrorist attacks attributed to Iran. However, there are only a few of them that can be confirmed and factually applicated to Iran. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now, if we still want to call Iran a terrorist state, then we also need to look at other facts. Now, let's take the US for example, okay? According to global research, 42% of terrorist activity within the United States were Latinos.
You are fake news.
24% were left-wing extremist groups.
You are fake news.
7% were Jewish extremists.
You are fake news.
6% were Islamic extremists.
You are fake news.
5% communists, and 16% others. Now, I'm not here to preach about religion. What I'm here to say is to educate yourself on other countries. In this instance, Iran. Now, while we're still talking about terrorism, let's address this nuclear energy issue. For some reason, some of the world's biggest powers does not want Iran to have nuclear energy, which is a little hypocritical, seeing as the United States has over 99 commercial nuclear energy plants. The UK has 15. Yet this one country gets slammed for having one. You've got to wonder why. Why can't we have nuclear energy? Iran are not allowed nuclear energy. But if I do have a nuclear energy, you want to know why? Because America! America first! Oh, Iran, yeah. Don't they live in mud huts? No, they don't. People in Iran don't live in mud huts or caves. In fact, prior to the revolution in Iran was actually incredibly modern. They were at the same pace as the US and the UK. Here are some pictures and videos so you can see for yourself. Now, Iran used to have a king. He was called the Shah. It spent over 2,500 years with a monarchy, and he was taken out of power. Why? Because he raised the oil prices. He asked for help, nobody would help him, so he raised the prices to try and get help. However, most of the Western countries actually bullied him for this and told him he wasn't allowed to do this because it would change the levels of power, which they didn't like. So the king of Iran was abdicated, and a new revolutionary guard and government were put in place, which actually sent Iran back hundreds of years. Now, believe it or not, Iran wasn't always an Islamic republic. It was actually forced upon them after the conquest of the Sassanid Empire, and it was forced upon them, and they gradually went along with it, while still being able to keep a lot of their culture and traditions and stuff. Iran has also affected the world greatly in massively positive ways with its inventions and things that it's exported. It's currently the world's biggest and best provider of caviar, for example. But there are so many things that the Iranians and Persians invented that you use today. Here's a little list. Those Iranians, they really hate Westerners. This is actually not true in the slightest. I could almost guarantee you that if you were to turn up in Iran with no hotel, no food, nothing to your name, because you are a Westerner, you will be greeted warmer than you have ever been greeted in your life. You could easily find a bed to sleep for free. Someone will welcome you into their house, they will feed you, and you'll be treated like a king. They are some of the most warmest and most hospitable people in the world. They may ask you a lot of questions, where you're from, what you do for a job, but it's because they want to learn about you. They are incredibly warm, incredibly open, and they will open their arms for anybody. Does that sound like a terrorist thing to do? Oh, your family's from Iran, but you don't look Iranian. How is an Iranian supposed to look? If you ever get the chance to go to Iran, you'll actually discover that there are a lot of people with bright blue eyes, blonde hair, bright red hair, and very bright green eyes. In fact, the Aryan race that we all know of, Hitler, were actually the Persians. But it wasn't actually a race. Being Aryan was not a race. It was a way for the Persians to identify themselves in a religious, cultural, and linguistic way. So be aware, not all Iranians look like this. In fact, some of them can look like this. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but there's like loads of limits on women, on gays. Everybody's kind of held to the ground, no? Now this one is sadly a very true conception about Iran, but this is not the will of the people. And this is something that people don't seem to understand. The Iranian people didn't want this. As I mentioned before, prior to the revolution, Iran was completely free. They were incredibly progressive for their time. Think 100 years ago, what rights did women have in the UK? Not as many as they do now. And Iran was incredibly progressive. As I said, Iran is quite restricted, which is really sad because the people of Iran, they love to drink. In fact, they have a bit of a problem with alcohol. There's also a huge gay scene there, but sadly they are not allowed to be openly gay because they will be punished. But as I stressed, this is not the will of the people. This is a government that was put in place that is now holding them back, which is really kind of sad. Although Iran has so many restrictions, compared to a lot of other Islamic-led countries, the restrictions are not half as tough as they are in others. For example, let's compare it to Saudi Arabia. Women have a lot more rights and leniency in Iran than they do in Saudi Arabia. For example, they're allowed to drive. Among these things. So yeah, Iran is restricted, and Iran is not a great place to grow up if you want complete control of yourself and your actions. But it's not half as bad as a lot of other places. Now, I remember the last time I went to Iran, about 15 years ago, and everywhere I went, "You are English?" They are absolutely fascinated by people who aren't from their land, and they want to bring you in and show you what their land is about. There was one time I went to a mall, and about 6 girls who worked there ran over and surrounded me, all trying to give me their number to invite me around to their house for dinner or for lunch. Yet this isn't something that we know about. Instead, we are told to expect these people with big beards, backpacks, turbans, and a bomb on their back. And this is what I want to do here. I want to dispel the myths that perhaps you've read about or you've seen on TV, because Iran is not that. I'm not trying to sell Iran as a magical place where everything is perfect, because it has its problems. Every country does. But Iran is not the place that you think it is. And the Iranian people are not the people that you probably think they are. They are an incredibly complex, strong, intelligent group of people. And they deserve the chance for you to learn about them. For you to educate yourself, or for you to perhaps look into more about what I said. Hey, go find an Iranian. Give them a chance. And I will promise you something now. Once you try Iranian food, you'll never go back. In fact, one of my videos is an Iranian recipe, khorme sabzi. I recommend you try it. Very good. I really do hope you've learned something today. I hope that perhaps I've opened your mind or taught you something, or maybe just given you the itch or want to go and find something else out. Or if you can, go to Iran. Highly recommend it. It's an incredible place. Before I leave, here are some more photos of the beauties of Iran. See you next time.